Great. If I haven't had a chance to welcome you in this wonderful group, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. I've been part of the group for, I don't know, more than 6 months now. And it's been a pleasure. It's been a joy. Anshu has been very supportive. I'm very grateful and watches the energy and all the help that she's putting together. So I'm really glad. And if I have not welcomed you to the group, welcome. I look forward in learning with you, growing with you at the same time, serving each other. So I look forward, and in whatever you're going to say today, I'll make sure I'll keep paying attention so that I can continue improving as a speaker.
Thank you very much, Omer. It was very great workout. And now I would like to introduce Lisa Friedman. Lisa lives in the side of a mountain in a log home in Vermont. Lisa is a mindset coach and certified Y-Coach world traveler. Rescued my dog Lily at the age of 10, or did she rescue me? Yes, I think that Lisa will tell us about this herself. The stage is yours, Lisa.
Okay, so can I share the screen?
Yes,
Add
sure.
some slides.
Yeah.
Continue, share, and then let me get my view slideshow. All right. Thank you so much, everyone here, all the people, the Global Live Speakers Summit and Anshu for allowing me to come and speak. And to be honest, I didn't start out confident, not by a long shot. I joined Toastmasters, which was an international group that gave me the opportunity to have a safe place where I could develop my speaker style and just practice in front of audience. And I fumbled my way through many audiences. So here are a few tips to help keep your audience engaged and be confident while you're speaking. So imagine that you're showing up for your first big speaking engagement in front of over 100 people. You even hired a friend who's a stand-up comedian to help you pepper humor throughout your entire talk. You come out with your big one-liner and all you hear is silence. You begin to panic. The thoughts inside your head are, they hate you, they want you off the stage, you're a loser, they don't want to have anything to do with your topic. You start speeding up the talk and you just want to get off the stage as soon as possible. Well, this actually happened to me. I was asked to speak for the Depression and Bipolar Association at McLean Hospital in Boston. McLean Hospital is considered the gold standard in mental health. Check it out. It even says it on their website. I remember getting in front of that stage in front of all those people. I bought a special dress for the occasion. I hired a videography so that I could have laughter in the background and everyone could see what a dynamic speaker that I am. I began to speak, included my friends' one-liners, expecting a roar of laughter. Dead silence. I stayed calm on the outside, but the inside of me started freaking out. And I thought to myself, I just need to get off the stage. And I began to speed up and speed up. And I started to just imagine this hook. It was going to just pull me off the stage. Fear impacts all of us, especially when we're on the stage and on Zoom in front of audiences. Do we have the right topic? Do we know our topic well enough? Or will the technology fail? So the first thing I do before I get on stage, or even when I am, I focus on my energy. So I check in to see my anxiety, my fear level, any doubt that I'm carrying, and then I release them. And the first thing I do is I breathe. If you do a deep belly breath that impacts your lower abdomen, and I'm going to have you all breathe with me now. If you breathe 6 counts, we're going to do a slow breath in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pushing out your lower abdomen, hold for 3, 1, 2, 3, and then out for 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then from there, you hold for 3 and let out. What's happening now, that is impacting your parasympathetic nervous system, which will relax you, because when you're fearful, all the blood leaves your body and goes to your extremities so that you can run from a saber-toothed tiger. And then guess what else happens? You get to run from the saber-toothed tiger and you don't even think. So all the blood is also running from your brain. You can't think on your feet when the blood is running from your brain. So a second technique that I use, which is very powerful, I do this all day long now. This is memorized in my brain. I can multitask while I do this. It's called the Sedona method, or the emotional release method. And what I do with this is I close my eyes and I think about, where in my body am I feeling any kind of stress, anxiety, frustration? And it'll show up as a feeling inside your body. It'll show up as a tightness in your chest or your stomach, or that gut feeling, or even just a thought. You want to go from 0 to 10. Imagine how strong that is. So for this demonstration, do not do anything over a 4, because I don't have an hour to work with you to lower it down. So I'd like you to just pick something just menial that may be just bothering you a little bit. Close your eyes. Focus on that area, and then you just repeat the following things until you're neutral. Should I let it go? Yes. Could I let it go? Yes. When? Now. And you say this over and over. You can say it out loud. You can say it quietly in your mind. Should I let it go? Yes. Could I let it go? Yes. When? Now. And after several rounds of this, you should start to feel your energy relax. All of a sudden, the thought will shift and change, and suddenly you feel more grounded and you have more clarity. Before you go out and speak, this is a really good technique to use before you work with a client, or while you're working with a client. Anything you need to do, use this technique as a way to help you be grounded and be clear. Because once I was able to relax when I was doing that talk, I decided to continue as if the audience was laughing. I figured I could at least use my video, because I was having it videotaped, and repurpose it. And I could always add a laugh track. So I laughed as if people were laughing. And that photo in the previous slide was me actually at that talk. What was fascinating to me was when it was over, all of a sudden, the whole room lit up. There were hands raised everywhere. I had 20 minutes of people asking me questions. I was so confused because no one was reacting to my talk. Yet when I was done, everyone was asking questions. And suddenly the last person raised their hand and said something to me that changed my life forever. I will never forget this as long as I live. It's really hard to live your life when you're on lithium. I can't feel the high highs and low lows. I'm just numb all the time. I just realized that I was speaking in front of a group of people who were heavily medicated. I had no idea. I thought that I was going to be speaking in front of a room full of professionals. And I was speaking to an entire group of people who were heavily medicated. Rule number 1, make sure you know your audience. I, again, thought I was speaking to practitioners. I had no idea I'd be speaking to a room full of heavily medicated people. Always ask who your audience is. Don't ever assume like I did. Number 2, be flexible. Be prepared for everything. I have a backup projector when I go to speak at events. I have backup batteries for my clicker. I go to the location the day before if it's possible. I'll even walk the stage to get a sense of placement. I'll go up to the lectern, make sure that I'm comfortable with everything. And I have another story of something where things went wrong even then. You just have to be flexible and know your material as well as you can. Number 3, tell stories. People will remember how you made them feel, but be authentic, express your why, and bring up emotion. Everyone learns through the following senses. They from visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. The more you can bring into your stories, people will be immersed in what you have to say, and that will make you memorable. So in order to be a confident speaker, it's important to have the right mindset. People can tell immediately if you're nervous or insecure. And as Elena said to us earlier about people's energy, think about when you talk to someone on the phone. As soon as you hear someone's voice, you can tell if they're happy, if they're sad, if they're angry, if they're frustrated, just by hello. So if you don't have awareness as a speaker, what your energy is and how you're coming off, record yourself, get the opinion of other people, watch yourself, because you need to know what you sound like and what energy you're bringing to the situation. Humor and flexibility will always be your friend when you speak. I was recently on a podcast with a woman in Australia. I had a woman come to my home who normally cleans, and she had some family emergencies, so she came late. And my talk was at 7 o'clock that night, and this woman was still in my house, and I started to go into a panic because I had my brand new Blue Yeti microphone, which picks up everything. So I said to her, please, please just be really careful and be quiet. Halfway through my talk, I see her going upstairs, and all of a sudden the toilet upstairs begins to flush and flush and flush. It was the flush that was heard around the world. This isn't just any toilet. I live on the side of the mountain. The leaching field is 18 acres down the mountain. This is a pressure flush toilet that makes so much noise, the house practically shakes when I flush. So all of a sudden, the woman interviewing me stops the podcast and says to me, someone flushing the toilet at your house? I just started to laugh. I said, yes. And we began to incorporate the toilet flushing and all the noise in the background into the talk. This became her most popular podcast because we made it fun. I was flexible. I thought on the fly. We made lots of jokes about it, and people felt drawn in, engaged, and they felt compassion for me. They understood what I was going through. So when you speak, make sure you check in with your energy. Is it high or is it low? If you're nervous, remember the deep belly breathing and also the Sedona method of letting it go. Be flexible and always have a sense of humor. Thank you everyone so much at the Global Live Speakers Summit for having me speak. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I love talking to people and hearing their stories and answering any questions. Thank you again.
Thank you, Lisa, for such interesting story and your insights. I think that everyone will remember your methods, how to come down and how to better communicate with people. Okay, so now we continue our event, and the next speaker is Jeff McCoy, who is business coach. He is loving single parent of 2 nearly grown boys, 30 years professional 11 pianist, son of 3rd generation pastor and worship leader as his church, Amazon #1 best-selling author in 8 categories. Wow. Serial entrepreneur, business mentor, and marketing expert. Jeff McCoy, the scene is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm not seeing my image here. Am I visible? You see me? Are you able to see me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 1 minute. Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be on here with such incredible people and to have an opportunity to share. I'm going to try and, I'm not as prolific as our previous speaker, but I'm going to give what I have that I believe will be a help to a number of us. First of all, we're talking about having confidence as a speaker. And when you're talking about confidence, first thing is you would look at the root word of confidence, which is to confide. The original explanation or definition of confide is to entrust into someone for safekeeping. So when you're having confidence in yourself, you are entrusting within yourself to be authentic in who you are and to stand forth. You're having that trust in your ability to deliver the authentic self. Now, when you start looking at making a decision or making a choice, now a choice is going to be an option, and that equals an external condition. It's basically a response to external circumstances that take place when you're making a choice. But when you make a decision, you're making a commitment that comes from an internal place. So the first thing that we would want to do, I have about actually 5 steps that I want to tell you about. And the first one is to make the decision to be confident. And you don't need a reason. You don't need anyone to speak to you or to tell you that you are amazing, to tell you that you're great. You just have to be authentically you. And when you make that decision, you are actually cutting off the other options. Like I said, the choice is an option that's based upon external circumstances. And so a lot of times the circumstances and the situations around you are not going to be conducive to you getting the best of yourself. So when you need to have the best of yourself show up and you need to show up with confidence, you need to look in your internal place and look back at the decision you made. And even as you look at decision, there is a root word of decision, which is to cut off. And that's going to be to cut off other options. So when you cut off other options, that's when the commitment comes in to that confidence of being authentically who you are. And when you are making that commitment from a place of, like, if you were looking at your children, if you had children, if you look at those children, you say, well, hey, I know my children have to eat every night, and I know that they need to be taken care of. That is a commitment. That's not something that's optional. It's not a choice that you can say, well, hey, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it the next day. You've made a commitment to that. So first of all, you have to make that commitment to yourself and having that trust within yourself that you're going to maintain the authenticity of yourself. The next thing you want to do, step number 2, is to be in integrity with yourself. And being in integrity is about being in alignment with who you are. Stephen Covey, he made the statement to begin with the end in mind. So when you're looking at remaining in the full alignment of your integrity, you're thinking, hey, who am I? I know that I don't need anybody's permission to be authentically who I am. I don't need anyone else to tell me that I'm amazing just as I am. But I know who I am from it because I've been me my whole life. So I can look within myself and say, hey, look, Jeff, be in alignment with who you are, what you say you are, what you feel on the inside, because no one is better at being you than you. And when you want to come forth, people can respond a whole lot better to the authenticity of who you are, as opposed to you trying to take on someone else's mantle, someone else's model of how to be. There's no better place than to look within inside. So a part of doing that is looking into yourself from an identity perspective. A lot of times we say, well, okay, well, what kind of things can I just do to make sure that I show up strong, that I show up confidently? But when you're looking at those things from a identity level, it's a whole totally different perspective. When you have made that internal commitment and that decision to embody confidence, even though you may not necessarily feel it initially, and most people won't. It's a process that occurs and evolves through iteration that you begin to show forth with more of that confidence that you need to come forth with. But when you take on the position of identity and you're looking at your circumstances, you're saying, hey, what can I do to be more confident? The first thing is that all thoughts are predicated upon beliefs. And those beliefs are the things that spur our actions. It spurs us to take action in what we're believing in and what those thoughts have told to us. And so if we are focused on our thoughts from a negative perspective or from our fears, we are seeing things through a cloudy lens. And based upon that, we will act in a way that's not in alignment with who we actually are. So from an identity level, we're looking at our beliefs and we're saying, okay, what do I really believe in my core? I know what I've said with my mouth, but what do I believe in my core? Because what you're believing in your core is what's going to shine up, what's going to shine through. So you began to look at those things, you began to watch and observe yourself, and you began to pull up those weeds of thoughts that say that you are not who you know that you really are at your core. And as you begin to pull those weeds up and you begin to let the intentional seeds of your identity begin to shine forth and come forth inside your presentation from a confident perspective, you will begin to notice that the circumstances around you will begin to shift and they will begin to evolve into more confident situations. And as you begin to make those tiny steps, you begin to notice that you'll become more of the confident, authentic you and less of the person that was reserved or fearful. Additionally, with you're going to have competency inside of that, which is another step. You're going to look at competency. It comes with practice. It's kind of like riding a bike. The more you ride a bicycle, the more competence you have in doing so. The first time you start off, you might start off with training wheels. And you might stumble, you may wobble a little bit as you are pulling out, but eventually those training wheels they will come off. It doesn't mean you're going to ride perfect every time, but you will begin to move forward. And occasionally you might fall, you might stumble, you might hit something that causes your bike to roll over, but it's not the end of the world. You get up, you brush yourself off and you get back to moving forward. And the quicker you can get back into it, the more strongly you can maintain the competency that you had started to develop. The third thing you want to look at is having momentum. A lot of times we get stuck in looking at what we are faced with, and we get the fear from the paralysis of analysis. We try to imagine all of the worst case scenarios, all of the circumstances that could go wrong, all the things that could happen bad to us in the process. But if we can actually get up out of ourselves and we can actually move confidently with momentum and actually taking that first step and allowing that momentum to push you on further down the road, you will actually begin to flow more freely in that confidence. As time goes on, everybody who has had a situation where they've met someone or they spoken to a small group, you might start off with a small group of friends. You might be the new person in the group and people don't really know you, but you begin to become acquainted and you begin to develop relationships with those people around you. And you begin to speak more freely and more confidently amongst them. And next thing you know, you're speaking your mind about things where normally you would just bite your tongue and you sit back and, kind of like paralyzed, looking around to see what everyone else is having to say and what the situation and circumstances are around them. But momentum, it actually brings you perspective. You cannot get new perspective without taking action. You can't, you can't move a parked car. It's like to get to a particular destination, to get to a particular destination, you have to put that car in drive and you actually have to pull out on the highway because there's certain experiences that you're going to have as you are moving forth with that particular momentum. Additionally, beyond momentum, you want to have community. You want to be around people who are confident, people who are strong. You may not be there at that particular moment, but the more you encompass yourself with other people who are on the same path, the more that leadership will begin to shine through you, and the more it will stand out. As we talked about with Stephen Covey, as he said, beginning with the end in mind and being able to see that. So that's part of seeing your identity from the future place. So when you go and you look in the future at who you are and how you want to be seen and how you want to show up to the world, and you start looking at that stuff, and you say, well, okay, well, in order for me to get there, you might be thinking, what can I do to get from here to where I want to be as far as that confident speaker? But when you are able to look into the future and you see that confidence, if you see yourself on stage and you're talking before hundreds of thousands of people, whoever you may be talking to, if you can go back and reach that mindset that you would have, what way does that person think? That version of you, that future version of you, how do they operate? You know, how do they take action? What type of mindset do they do? How do they respond as they interact with their environment? And so if you bring that particular mindset, and instead of saying, hey, I'm right here and I need to get over here, and you take that identity of it and superimpose it on your current self today, then you start embodying that mindset, and you start making your decisions and your thoughts from that place, and you start moving from that place. And as you move from that place, you will begin to stride with more confidence. So as you stop looking at where you are, regardless of how small it may be, maybe in very small beginning stages, but you start looking at where you're going. And as you are looking from the beginning, but beginning with that end in mind, you will start to move as you would expect yourself to move in that future place. And that will carry you through a lot of your challenges that you would normally go to. So again, I was talking about integrity and alignment with yourself, talking about decisions, making that decision to, and not a choice, but that internal commitment, talking about the competency that comes from actually taking action and moving forward, and also having that community around you. But it all begins with that first decision where you cut off all the other options. It says, hey, I'm going to make my decision to be confident based upon these external circumstances. And I'm going to make that commitment from within myself that I'm going to practice that on a daily basis, and that I'm going to operate from that place, knowing that this is who I am. That is the power of intention, having the ability to express who you are truly within, and doing things the way you truly desire to do them. And when you are able to do things from that intentional place, you will begin to basically expose all of the levels of confidence and growth that you would need to have as a speaker. And when you start off with something where you're not confident, or you don't feel like you're confident, knowing that, hey, if I take that first step and I continue to move with momentum, and as I continue to do these things repetitively, through that competence builds, and I will be in alignment with myself. You don't have to ask for someone's permission to be authentically you. You don't have to wait for somebody to say you're amazing and that you can do it. You just have to know that who you are inside is someone worth being, and someone worth being responded to in a positive way. And as you present that forth, people will see that, and they will see that that authentic self. And that's what people respond to. When you are authentically you, that is what is going to grab the attention of the people, and will allow them to receive what you have to offer in a true and genuine way. Again, I appreciate you inviting me here and allowing me an opportunity to speak. So my name is Jeff McCoy, and for those who might be struggling and looking for how they can actually show up in a greater way in the things that they're doing, I even have a free download that you can get. You can actually get it at jeffmccoy.com. That is JEFFMCKOY.com, and /3. jeffmccoy.com /3. And at that place, you'll be able to get the 3 best kept secrets of a 6-figure coach or knowledge expert. And it's a full-blown workbook that you can actually go through, and it will actually help you in wherever you are operating in, to be able to move more authentically in it and to move more confident. And that's pretty much all I have that I want to share with us today.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Such great information. And of course, we should be authentic and remember that we are spiritual beings. And this passion which we have in our heart, inside of us,
She never really moved home from dad since.
spirit which
The
wants
States, she was already.
to express itself through us. And
Alina, actually,
Yes.
some people are waiting outside the Zoom. So can you please get in because they are putting the same password, so they are not able to get in.
okay,
Even-
I will now open the room. And
Okay.
1 minute. I will unblock the room so they can join now.
Okay, great.
And what I want also to add to what Jeff told, that if we communicate with people with this perception that we are spiritual beings and we have that passion and the message, and we know that this our message can help many people, and we think about them, not about us, yeah, but about the value which we can provide to other people, and we focus on the people more than on ourselves, it will help us to be better speakers. And the next, our speaker is Design Punhirita, inspirational speaker. Desang is the founder and the CEO of non-profit organization called Undefeated Uganda, working with youth and women. She is professional motivational speaker for about 5 years now, also a life coach, helping women in their business and also youth going back to school. She is also model. Desang, the scene is yours. Please connect your microphone. Are you here? I think that the search is not with us now. Yes, I think she is not available. So I would like to introduce Deb Day, wife, 3 children, 2 grandchildren. Deb is a health and well-being coach, network marketer. Deb loves travel, photography, and putting pictures to quotes. And Deb quote is, I am a runner, paddler, hiker, and lifelong learner with certification in sports, nutrition, and fitness. Welcome, Deb, and the scene is yours.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the Global Speakers Talk for inviting me and for allowing me the opportunity to share my voice. And I will definitely take Jeff's words of wisdom here. And Lisa, great information about the Sedona technique. I'll have to remember that as well. What I'm going to share with you are stories about how I got from where I was to making the decision to actually give a talk. So if you were one of those people that walked into a big dinner luncheon meeting where they would have a keynote speaker, and you hung around at the back of the room, not wanting to just go sit at a table, awkward, flustered, not wanting to talk to new people, then you were like I was. I found that extremely difficult. I was so incredibly shy that it was painful to talk to people I didn't know. So I was working for a company and working on multi-million-dollar projects, and found that I was very good at what I did at project management. I could plan, I could schedule, I could fit everything in. I could identify the risks and come up with a solution. All wonderful things for a project manager. What I couldn't do was talk to those things at a meeting without getting all flustered and stammering and beet red in the face. So my boss pulled me aside and said, I think you need some help. She knew what I could do, and she clearly saw what I could not do. She said, I want you to take a course on communications. Now, I had so much respect for her that I would have done whatever she asked, no matter how painful. And this course would lead to one of the first tips that I have is to find communications that will allow you to have a speaking role. Now, what he did was kind of brilliant, really painful at the time. He would give you 5 or 10 minutes, maybe 15, to go working with a number of other people to prepare for an opening of a presentation. And when you get up, if you looked at your paper, he would take it from you. So when it came my turn, I just seen him do that to half a dozen other people. And I looked at him and I started talking, and I just found myself looking down. So I looked at him and thought, oh, hell, you're just going to take this paper from me anyway. So I tossed it. Now, that created a lot of laughter, and I felt better, but it wasn't enough. And in that course, I learned what I was supposed to do to be a good speaker, the things I shouldn't do, all of it, but I could not bring myself to do it. I needed to do something else, which leads to tip number 2, and that is to find opportunities to meet new people. And I did that through networking. My boss enrolled me in the Project Management Institute, where they would have dinner meetings every month. And in front of that meeting was 45 minutes of networking with others. So you had no choice. You had to talk to people. So I go in knowing nobody. They're all wearing suits. I was a technician with a technician's job, a technician's wardrobe. I was so out of place. I looked around for someone that looked like they would talk to me, and was so difficult. I could barely get my name out, let alone answer questions. So I had to do something to make a difference in what I was doing and how I was going to get there, because make no mistake, my inability to talk to people, of being able to present as a project manager, was interfering with my career. It was at one of those dinner meetings that I saw my first keynote speakers who had me mesmerized. I don't remember his name. I don't even remember what he was talking about. But what I saw was somebody who was so comfortable, so confident, so at ease. He used touches of humor. He had the audience enthralled. And I can remember thinking, I want to be able to do that. And it wasn't because I wanted to be in front of a room of what was 2,000 people, but it would have meant that if I could do that, that I could speak to people, I could present, I could move my career where I wanted it to go. So I knew what I needed to do. I just couldn't do it yet. So that leads to the next thing, and that is tip number 3, and that's to volunteer. So I volunteered with the PMI local chapter, and I went in to help them with their next conference. I volunteered to be on the committee of the person I admired most in the room. Guess what that committee was? Sponsorship. I had to call strangers and ask for money. I can tell you that I prayed for a busy signal more than once. And all I realized was this was not helping me, and it wasn't helping PMI. So I put that smile on my face for every phone call, and I just made call after call after call. The second year I volunteered, those calls became a whole lot easier. And that was about 7 years ago that I actually volunteered for something in my community. And there was a company that wanted to put a construction and demolition processing facility between communities of about 10,000 people. It would have been disastrous. So I volunteered, found myself as the chair, and subsequently found myself in front of 300 people in a room for the first time in my life. So what I found was because it wasn't about me, I wasn't trying to impress anybody. I wasn't trying to influence anybody. It was like a large meeting. I was able to put fear aside because it was about families. It was about community, and it was about protecting the environment. So that was a huge help. So find a volunteer opportunity with something that you are passionate about and that puts you in this kind of role where you have to talk to people or perhaps even present. So what did I do next? It was all about recording, and we've already heard this, presented so beautifully to us already. I was and found myself enrolled in my university course when I was in my 40s. And in the program, there were 3 levels of communications courses. In the 3rd year, we had to do a presentation to the board because they wanted to put a Wi-Fi network in on the campus. So I was elected to be the primary speaker with help from 3 others. So we did practice the night before. I was with my classmates. We were having fun. I did a great job. The next night in rolls the board, and in comes what I thought was a very, very, very large camera in on rollers. Our prof was recording the session. I froze. I did not do the job I did the night before. She asked me why, and I told her that the camera just paralyzed me. Yes, Jeff, I'm using your words because I was the paralyzed person in the room. And obviously, it didn't matter to the board. They were looking for the technical information, not an eloquent speaker because they didn't get one. And what I found was the professor used that technique for the rest of the term. She recorded us. She would have us sit in a room, watch our presentation all by ourselves, to look and see what we liked about what we did, and to find the things that we knew we needed to change. It was an invaluable lesson. You can record yourself in a number of ways, whether it's doing a Facebook Live on your own newsfeed or in another group. Just make sure you go back and watch it. We have all kinds of opportunities to go live in groups like the Global Speakers Community. But make sure you go back and look at yourself, not critical, but just look and see where you want to improve something and what you liked about what you did. The 5th thing I have to suggest to you is all about feedback. Now, that same professor approached me after I graduated and asked me to participate on a panel of people who would act as if we were a board of directors, and the students were coming to us with persuasive presentations. We had to critique them. We had to look at everything from tone, from preparation, how they stood, their eye contact, how they dressed, everything. And I did that. She said to me afterwards, she said, "You have great advice, but you're way too diplomatic. The students need to hear it bluntly," was her word, "so that they really understand where they need to improve," because it was to help them in their career, whether it was a presentation or an interview. So I did that, and I did that for her for 5 years. And I have to tell you, every piece of advice I gave, I realized that I was still making those mistakes. So that volunteer piece and able to give feedback was invaluable to me. Now, I took that same technique as a director within our local government. I had a lot of people that I coached, and I gave that advice to them, even to some people that I didn't. There was a young lad who was so shy, so I understood where he was coming from, but he was so good at what he did. And he was asked to speak at one of our large departmental meetings. So there would be between 300 and 400 people there. He did a really good job speaking, but he did a thing, a nervous thing, and we all have one. And as he was talking, he was touching his face. And I watched him. He probably did it maybe a dozen times within about 10 minutes. I went up to him afterwards and I told him that he did an amazing job. But he did something, and I asked him if it was okay if I could give him a piece of advice. And he said, of course. So I told him what he was doing. He had no idea. And when we had that nervous tell, we often don't know. So I offered to go in and watch the next several presentations he was giving, and he graciously said, yes, please. So as he started to do that in the next speech, he caught my eye and he stopped himself. And I didn't see him do it after that. So go out and find somebody who will give you that honest, constructive input, that feedback. But you have to be willing to take the feedback. Now, these stories are all things that talk about where I painfully started on my journey to where I am today. And I am certainly going to use the advice I've heard so far because I'm not yet where I want to be. But I do know this, that if you want to be able to speak in front of others, whether it's a large presentation, whether it's just to be able to speak in front of your employers, whether it's for an interview, whatever the reason, that you have to do it. Because if you don't do it, you will never improve. I remember the words of John Maxwell in one of his courses, and somebody asked him, how did he become so confident? And he said, when you've done it 1,000 times, confidence is easy. So we have to make sure that we do it over and over again. So my last piece of advice is simple. It is be bold. Say yes. I want to thank you for listening and thank you for all joining in at this summit.
Thank you very much, Deb, for such great insights. I enjoyed. Yes, it was amazing. Thank you very much again. And I would like to introduce the next speaker. And our next speaker is Darela Yapan, emotional coach and couple therapist, happily married and mother of 2, author of the first book that gets you in 28 days to the perfect relationship. Her mission is help every person she meets to have the best version of themselves and to live the happiest life possible. About Darela, her home is everything she goes with the family. Focus thought. If you know what you want, every step forward will take you one step closer to your target. Darela, the stage is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I am really excited. I enjoyed all the presentations. And even though I had prepared something, I would like to begin taking the lead up from Deb. Because as I was listening to your speech, I remembered that since a few years back, many years back, for me, every time I was looking at someone speaking on a stage, I was asking myself, did they memorize that thing? Did they have written it somewhere? How do they speak so confidently? And instead of the message, I was more interested in knowing how I can act exactly as they do. And I will continue on this path, saying that I think that the most important thing for a person who wants to speak publicly, they must be very passionate about what they want to speak about. If it doesn't matter to me, I won't be interested in talking about that. So the next step is that if I'm very passionate about what I want to say to people, I have to start with small groups. I will start speaking to my friends, then acquaintances, then bigger groups, a little bit like you guys said, because speaking in front of 1,000 people when I'm not confident in myself talking to my best friend, well, I won't be able doing that. So starting from this, we go on. And the thing is that if we start to see every failure as a success, we will get to the success that we want. And in this, I'd like to share something of my personal story. When I finished my high school, university, and stuff, and I was looking for a job. All my friends were very scared when they had to interview for a job. And I was very relaxed. I said, I want to go there because this will get me prepared for the job that I have to take. And each no was helping me become better at what I did. And this happened actually because I was only 23 years old and I got interview in a multinational company. So I just finished university like a couple of months ago, and they hired me. They're more qualified persons, but they liked me. I was so confident on myself, and I was speaking, I was interviewed in another language that wasn't my native language, and they all loved me. They said I have to chill down because I'm too prepared for what I have to offer. And taking this same advice of my own experience, when I began to want to speak to people, so I have a wish, I would like to speak in front of 40,000 people. I don't know why, but this is something that I want, and I feel more and more confident that it will happen. Well, I have to prepare for that. I cannot arrive, get in front of 40,000 people and speak. I think I would freeze out there. So what did I do in order for me to get prepared for that? I discovered Anshu's group. Now it's the Global Live Speakers Community. And I heard about this thing. Well, you're invited to talk daily, make daily lives. And I said, okay. And I found myself so comfortable in front of many strangers. I said, I feel at home. I feel at peace. I really like what I do. So starting from that, I took the first challenge in participating in the live summit, and there were only us, the group. And I said, this is a victory because this gets me prepared for something more. And then I had another type of summit, and it was a recording. And I said to that person, you know, I am so happy because knowing that I'm only with you, although it's been recording, I feel at ease. And then I could have my live summit, and I was at peace also because I was more and more confident. I was growing with confidence. So what do you have to do if you want to become a confident public speaker? You have to take daily action. It's not a big step that will get you on the other step. If it's big, you won't be able to jump. So if you take daily actions, no matter how small the steps are, those small steps, it can be 1,000 steps, but they will get you where you want to get. And as the other participants liked to share some techniques, I love the Sedona. I heard about it before, but I didn't know how to use it. So thank you for that. I myself use EFT from Emotional Freedom Techniques, and it helps. I won't get into the details. It's not so easy to explain and to put it into practice, but it helps a lot. And on this, I would like to share another story. 1 year ago, a little bit over 1 year ago, I wasn't confident, I wasn't comfortable to make lives on Facebook. I was so stressed. And as you Deb said, you know, I was always touching myself. How can I speak? How not to babble? What can I say in order for people to see something that I have to share, but not what I feel? And I told that to a friend of mine, and she said, well, put everything on a paper. Those are beliefs that are blocking you from that. It wasn't only what I was feeling, it was that in my house, I didn't have a place where to install myself and to do some lives because it wasn't proper and many other stuff. I have 2 little kids. So I had nothing. I thought I had nothing. So I put everything on a paper. I put what I was feeling and then something positive. And I started on EFT. And I did everything in a couple of days. And then I said to her, you know, I'm ready to start our challenge of 28 days of lives. I will do that. Do you want to know what happened during these lives? 1 week after I started, we had some trouble with our electricity. For 2 weeks, I had no electricity at home. What did I do? My husband charged my phone, the battery, and I continued my lives every single day. It was so important, so powerful that I continued. And I was out there laughing, being happy, and people were inspired. They said, so she doesn't have electricity. We had no heat, so we found a solution. But the thing is, you have no hot water. 2 small kids, it was in a winter time, and she is happy and she's out there talking to us, inspiring us. So we can do this. There are multiple techniques that we can use. The most known ones are affirmations. And I recently read T. Harv Eker's book. I think it's Millionaire's Mind. And he says that statement is more powerful than affirmation, because when you say a statement, so it can be the same phrase, but when it is a statement, you engage yourself in taking action. So it's not just, I am a confident speaker, I will do something to become a confident speaker. So, another thing that is very important for me, and I want to share with you, you have to pick a goal that motivates you. So if you are not confident enough in what you have to share with people, you will find excuses not to come in front of them. I had some goals that weren't strong enough, but even with that goals, I used what I shared already with you. I liked to exercise, to practice, and it helped me get better and better. And I would like to share, maybe it's not the quote exactly of Dean Graziosis, but he said something that pushed me forward. And he said, you are doing a favor to the others if you don't get out there and share what you have to say with the world. This is what I wanted to share with you today. I really hope that this is inspiring and helpful for you, for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Darela. You told us about your amazing journey, and you came out so powerful from this journey. And it was amazing that you shared with us. And of course, we have always ability to choose what we think about. Yes, and as public speaking, we can always, if we have that feeling of fear or maybe not being comfortable, we can transfer this feeling to excitement. Yes, because we can just feel that we're excited about this. Yes, like it is always important to remember that we have ability in our conscious mind to choose any thought we want, right? So if we want to be confident, we can choose this thought and see ourselves as confident speakers. Yes, and as you told, very good to do some actions to become that confident speaker. And as I study frequency, of course, I would like to mention here that we should become the confident and powerful public speaking before in our mind, we should see ourselves. We should speak, feel, and act that as that person we want to become. So we need to make our new self-image. And part of this self-image, we describe ourselves, how we feel on the stage, how we speak, how we communicate. So if we see ourselves that powerful speaker, confident, it will also will be in our words, in that vibrations which we communicate with people and with our actions. And of course, it will help if we see the people, what, how we can help them, what is our message, how this message can change people's lives, and who in this audience maybe is looking and waiting for some of our experience to help him. And when we start communicating with people, we should know what they want, because not always when we speak, people listen, right, and have that attention. So we have to ask questions and see how we can help these people in this audience. Not just we come and just tell something what we want, right? But we should be connected. And with asking questions, we identify what is the audience and what is their problems, what is their need, and why they came to listen to us, and how we can help them, especially these people. Yes, by asking question, we get at the frequency with them, right? That we feel the energy, what they want, what they need. And then we just connect in our mind to their frequency, to their energy. And if we come with this purpose to serve and connect to this energy and give people what we can from our experience, from our knowledge, we always can be effective and communicate well with people. Because if we speak with that heart, yes, heart to heart communication, not only by words, but if you always like see person that he has conscious mind, subconscious mind, and body, and we communicate with the person on all of these three levels, it will be very powerful and effective. I appreciate everyone who shared with us your expertise, your experience, your knowledge. It was amazing summit today. And I would like to ask Anshu if we have any other speakers today that we didn't mention yet.
No, I think we have done now. Also, I want to add one thing that just I have remembered about this public speaking, that one of the conversations I was watching of the Warren Buffett, and in his one of the conference where he was invited. So one of the students asked, want to take a suggestion that what in today's era, what is the best what is the best career I should apply for my rest of the life, where I can improve and where I can get the succeed. So it was a Warren Buffett who said that today's public speaking is one of the only one skills that everyone has to be improved and go with this. So it is a like even all I'm saying is that he is the one where he's a one of the top successful people person. He is also suggesting to learn the public speaking because he knows what is the importance. So I think obviously we all are in this journey, public speaking journey. Someone is just growing, someone is a sport, and someone is just started. No matter where we are, but one thing that makes sure that repetition is a mastery. The more we do what we are just doing, so the more we will become the sport in this. So thank you so much, guys, for sharing your wonderful, beautiful wisdom with us. And sorry to inconvenience you feel if you feel some uneasy in the starting. So in the next summit, this is a something that we have learned from our mistake. Okay, and next time we will take care of the same things. Thank you so much. Okay, one thing that I always do, like going to take a screenshot of our every selfie type, and I will share with you privately this screenshot so that you can post on your social media and we can expose our 9th summit. So are you guys ready for the same?
Mhm.
There's one thing that you have to make your giggle face, chuckling face, whatever you want to make a face, but you have to make, okay? Don't be in your like normal face. Can I request to each one, please, if possible, just come on the camera, and Afito as well. Okay. It's okay if you're not.
Fito.
I'm not. I am not all that.
No problem, no problem. Okay.
Okay, great.
Going
Yes.
to take it, okay? No, I'm just counting 1, 2, 3, then I'm going to take, okay? So are you guys ready? 1, 2, and 3.
Did you took?
Just a
Okay.
moment.